everyone, welcome. Today we are going to learn how to make this absolutely gorgeous necklace, which is made using supplies out of Eureka Crystal Beads Treasures of Time Lite collection that just came out in the middle of September, and I will put a link for that collection down below, so please do click through and go and look at it. It's really good value for money. You get so many things in it, and everything that I used here except for my jump rings and the thread came out of that collection. So anyway, I'm gonna now run through all the materials you will need to make this. Okay, so the first thing that I used, and I obviously do not have another one of them, but is the 18 millimeter cabochon. It is 18 millimeters across and 13 millimeters up and down, and it was flat on the back. And on our necklace, we are going to be beading over the back in order to kind of protect it so that that mirrored finish does not come off. Okay, so as far as seed beads go, you are going to need two different colors of Miyuki rounds, and these ones were included in the collection, and this is the Miyuki number 11458. It's a lovely kind of bronze iris color. And then these lighter colored ones that I'm using on the back here, they did come out of our seed bead Miyuki mix. You can see there's one of them right there. They're just kind of the light colored 11Os, and I just I'm using those so that it's easier to see where you're going when we're working on the back if you have two different colors. Okay, it doesn't have to be this color, you can use another color. Obviously it doesn't matter. So those are your two 11Os. We're also using some 15Os, which came in our collection, and this is a 15O Delica that came in the collection, but you can also just use a normal 15O round if you do not have the collection and maybe you want to get on it right away. Okay, so but yes, some 15O Delicas you're going to need as well. And so that will be all you use for the bezel. Then the drops, you can kind of make them up as you go the way you like them. What I did was I used more of the 11O rounds, and then I used these WIBEduos that are in a lovely iris mix here, bronze iris mix. So you can see there's lots of different variations of color. So I actually have in the middle here is a slightly darker, well, it looked slightly darker. Yeah, it is slightly darker one, and then a couple slightly lighter, but you can pick out whichever colors out of the mix that you want to use. So I used 4 of those in total, 1 at the top, 3 at the bottom. Okay, I also used some Magatamas, which are these fun little drops right here. These are made by Toho, and these are bronze Magatamas. So that's what they're called, and they're 4 millimeter. So a Magatama size 4 millimeter. Okay, and I just have 6 of those, so I have 2 on each thing here. We also got these cool lentils in our collection, and so I am using one of those in the middle of each little drop area. And here on the side I am using these tiny little Chinese rondelles, and these are 2 millimeter stringing length by 3 millimeter tall. So I have those just tucked in here. I also use them on my drops just at the bottom underneath my Firepolish bead. Okay, so but you know, you can change beads around. I also have here, I love these Firepolish beads so much, they're so cool. So these are 4 millimeter Firepolish beads. Again, came in the collection. I use those for the drops and also just up here at the top to connect on at the top. So that is where I use those. And then we did get in our collection some head pins, so I did use those to form my wrapped loops. And then The chain itself is the 4mm Rolo chain that came in our collection. So like I said, you only need some jump rings and, oh, the filigrees as well. They also did come in our collection, and we got 4 of those, so we have 2 more that maybe we can use for a pair of earrings or something like that. So those came in the collection as well. I today used some KO 330 Detects in black, and I used probably about 4.5 feet, and I used a size 10 beading needle. So that is everything that you are going to need in order to make this really gorgeous necklace. You will need, obviously, some wire cutters, some round nose pliers, and some other pliers to work with your jump rings and make your wrap loops, okay? But other than that, that's all you need. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so to begin, we're going to create a bezel for our cabochon. This is an 18 by 13 German glass cabochon. It is flat on the back, so we are going to be bezeling over we're going to cover the back as well. So this is a little bit of a different sort of thing. I have here some Miyuki rounds, 11-0, in 2 different colors, okay? To begin, we're going to build a chain of right angle weave units that is 15 units long. So to begin, go ahead, pick up 4 of your seed beads and push them all down. Leave yourself about 4 inches, which is about 2 times the length of your needle, okay? You're going to sew through all 4, starting in from the short end, okay? That should form a loop, okay? And then you're going to sew again through the first 2. And you're going to pull that tight, and that is our very first unit of right angle weave. So you see how we have 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom, 1 on each side, okay? So we're going to build another unit right on top. So you're going to go ahead, pick up 3 more beads. So this is the top bead that I'm coming out of, and my thread's coming out on this side of the bead. So I'm going to enter into the other side of the same bead that my thread was coming out of. And then when I pull that, I have a second unit of right angle weave on the top right here. We're going to move up to this bead up here so that we can build on the chain further, okay? So go ahead, go up whichever side your thread is coming out. You're going to move up the side bead and into the top bead, okay? Try and keep your units pretty tight together without too much slack getting in there. As I work this, I like to kind of hold it in my finger and work this way, like so it's a chain, okay? So again, we're going to pick up 3 for our next unit. We're going to, this time my thread is coming out this side, the left side, so it's going to swap every other time. It'll go left side, right side, okay? So there's my unit, and then I have to move forward to get over to the end of my chain right here. So you're going to move up through whatever side your thread is coming out on. You're going to move through that bead and into the top bead. Okay, so we now have 3 units, and you can count by the pairs on the side. So 1, 2, 3. So you're going to continue doing this until you have 15 units. So I'll do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I believe I have 15 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I am coming out, you'll see it's a little bit wonky and crooked, okay? I'm coming out from the top bead, and what we're going to do is we're going to sew back down the other side to even out our units. So just continue in the direction that your thread is going around that top unit, Okay, so it should now sit nicely. And then we're going to move down the side of the next unit, whichever side your thread is on, and into the base of that unit. Wow, my tension here, so it's just the very next bead is really bad, so it's good that we're doing this. Okay. So now that unit is a little bit straighter, as you can see here. Just ignore that it's a little off to the side. Okay, so we're going to continue. See how this side has 2 threads, this side has 1. So if we're just going to continue zigzagging down each side, so just go down the side bead and then into the base bead, down the next side, and it's going to be swapping each time which side you're going down, but we're basically evening out so that we have 2 bits of thread on each side. And when you pull this, you're going to see them all line up beautifully. Can you see already the difference here between the top section and the bottom section? So I'm going to go down this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. I'm just going to zigzag my way back down until I get to the bottom. So I'll do that off screen and I'll come back in a minute. Okay, so I have zigzagged my way all the way down to the bottom, and you can see now how much more even my bit of chain is. I'm not sure what is going on up here. There is no extra thread, but that unit seems to be a little bit weird, but anyway, it will not show in our final piece. So I'm coming out from the very, very end, which is next to our starting tail. Just ignore the tail for now. I don't want to tie any knots because you don't want to block your hole right now, okay? So I'm going to take my 2 ends and I'm wrapping it kind of around my finger like so. Make sure that it's not twisted or anything, that it is flat, okay? And we're going to add 1 more unit to join the beginning and the end together. So you're going to pick up 1 bead, whichever side your thread is coming out on. So mine's coming out the left. I have to enter into the other end from the left, going towards the right, okay? And when I pull that, that will join up, and then I have to pick up 1 more and go back into the bead that I started in on the front side. So again, I'm going right to left, okay? And so there is that last little unit is right here, these 4 beads. So I'm going to reinforce because all the other units have been sewn through twice. So we want to make sure that this one is going to stay together as well. Okay, so you should now have a ring of beads like this, and if you have your cabochon there, you can see that you should be able to kind of squish it around your cabochon as like a ring around it, okay? You can, it might seem a little tight, but trust me, it's going to be okay. All right, so now what we're going to do, just keep that tail just out of the way so you don't get confused. Whatever side you're coming out on, you're going to just move forward into the next bead, which will be one on the side, okay? So you're coming out a bead on the side now, and we're going to make that be the top, or actually technically it's the bottom, but for right now it's going to be the top. All right, so we're going to do some more right angle weave. So this time I'm going to pick up a white, or I guess cream, and then a main color, and then another cream color, and I'm going to build off of this unit. So here I'm coming out on the right of this bead, so I'm going to enter into the left of the same bead. and then you're going to move up through the side bead and into the next bead. Okay, we're going to repeat, so pick up a light color bead, a dark color, a light, okay, and so into the other side. So I'm coming out the left here, so I'm entering in on the right. Okay, so this is just the same as what we've been doing, but we're just using some different colored beads because you will need that in a minute so you can tell what on earth you're doing. Okay, all right, and then we're going to go down the next bead, and we're going to do this until we have 4 pairs, well, 3 pairs of the light beads, so we need 1 more. And then our very last pair, we're going to connect onto one of the beads that is sticking up on the edge here. And what you're going to have to do is work out which beads. I started at this bead here, so I'm going to have to count 8 beads. 1, not counting this one that I started in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the bead that I'm aiming for right here. Okay, so go ahead, pick up 1 light colored bead, and I'm coming out on the top here, so I'm going to enter into the top of that bead there that I identified as my 8th bead. And then I'm going to pick up 1 more, go back into the bead right here. Okay, so we now have a little strip of right angle weave going across the middle of our circle. Go ahead, go down into the side and the bottom of the same unit again to kind of reinforce, and we're also turning around, okay? And then go up through the light colored bead to head back in the other direction. And what we're going to do is give it a little tug. We're going to put 1 dark colored bead between each of the 4 here. So we're going to add 1, 2, 3 dark colored beads. So pick up 1, go into the next light colored bead on that side, pick up another, go into the next light colored bead on that side. Sorry, my tail's in the way there. Pick up 1 more and go into the last light colored bead on that side. Okay, and now we're going to turn around, so just go through the bead right at the top on the main ring here that we started from. Okay, so go through that bead there at the top unit. And then we're going to add 3 dark colored beads on this side as well. So enter into the first light bead, pick up an 11-0, go into the next one, pick up an 11-0, go into the next one, and 1 more. Okay, so it should now have this. Okay, so now you're going to enter again through that bottom bead right there, and you're going to go up until you come out from this middle dark bead. So we have 3, 1, 2, 3. You want to come out from that middle one, so just pass through the next 2 light and 2 dark beads so that you're coming out from that middle dark bead right there. Okay, okay, so you can see that I am coming out from that bead. I'm just going to turn this direction so that it's a little easier for me to work this next step here. Okay, all right, so we are now going to kind of do the same thing again. So you're going to pick up a light bead, a dark bead, and a light bead, like this. And I'm coming out, my thread's coming out on the right, so I'm going to enter into the left of the same bead that I am coming out from. Okay, so we have another unit here. I'm going to go up through the side bead, and into the top bead here. And this time it's a little bit different. I'm going to pick up 2 light beads. I'm coming out on the right here. So now I have to figure out which one of these beads is in the middle. So I'm going to count 1, 2, starting, so I'm not counting the one that my light colored beads coming out of. You start counting from the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's this bead here is my middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm coming out on the left. So I'm going to enter in from the left to the right with my 2 beads right here. And then I'm going to pick up 2 more. And I'm going to go into that bead down below right there. Okay. And it might look like a bit of a mess at the moment, but it's okay. All right. So now we're going to pass down into the first light colored bead of the next right angle weave unit below us. Okay. We're going to pass through from the middle to the outside that second light colored bead there. We're going to pass through the middle bead of the dark row right here, okay? And then we're going to pass through the second light colored bead and the middle dark colored bead, okay? And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to build 1 single unit of right angle weave with a light, a dark, and a light. So I'm coming out the left, so I'm going to enter into the right of that bead, move up the side bead that you just added, and up into the top bead. And then we're going to pick up 2 11-ohs. I'm coming out on the right here. I need to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is my 4th one. So I'm coming out from the right, so I'm entering in from the right, okay? And 2 more. And enter into that base bead there. Okay. So it looks like this. Now you're going to move up into the 2 beads that we just added a second ago. You're going to go through that top bead again. You're going to go down the 2 beads on the other side. We're going to pick up 1 bead right here, 1 dark bead, okay? So into the next light colored bead. And we're going to follow the same path that we just took a minute ago, which is you go through the light colored bead, the second one, going towards the outside, okay? Then you go through the middle bead of the dark row right here. Then you go through the second bead going towards the middle and up into the first light colored bead right here. You pick up 1 dark bead, you go up through the 2 beads on the side, go through the top of the unit. Go down the 2 beads here. Pick up 1 dark bead, go down the light bead, and just give that all a little tug. Okay, and then again, we're going to pass through that light colored bead on the side going outwards. We're going to pass through the dark colored bead in the middle, through the light colored bead going inwards, and straight up into the next bead. And then we're going to pick up 1 more bead and go up into the 2 light colored beads and into that very top bead there. Okay, so you should now have this. All right. And you might want to kind of just wiggle it and stretch it out if you need to. So that is going to be the base of our cabochon holder, our bezel. And you can see here it's going to sit in like this. And that way it will be protected on the back. So you won't need to worry about that mirroring being scraped off. But you can still kind of see it a little bit, okay? All right. So we're going to work our way up to the top of our unit of right angle weaves. So just pass through the side and then into the top. So we're coming out one of the top beads here, okay? And now we're going to start building in our bezel around our cabochon. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add some beads in between the beads that we already have here. So just pick up 1 11-0 and go into the very next bead. And if you want to use a different color for this, you can, okay? Just all the way around, you're just going to add an extra 11-0 in between every single bead that is sticking out, okay? And if you want to move that out of the way and do it this way, you can. I like to kind of hold my cabochon in so I don't pull in so tight. I just find it kind of helps a little if you're not pulling too tight, or like if I'm doing this and then I try and get my my cabochon in, it's like, oh, okay. So I like to kind of hold it in place just so I can kind of judge the tension. But you're just popping 1 11-0 in between each of those beads all the way around, okay? So I'll finish this off quickly off screen and I'll come back in a second. Okay, so I've gone almost all the way around. I only have 1 gap left to fill, and then I'm going to go through that last bead and step up into the next bead as well. And here you can kind of start to judge, like, do I need to pull in a little? Your stone is still not being held in yet, so, but you can kind of get an idea for tension at this point. Now you're going to pull out your 15 O's. So what we're going to do is I'm coming out here. I'm going to pick up 1. So you're going to skip the next bead and enter into the next bead on the circle, and that Delica will just sit in there, and it may kind of move around a bit. There's actually quite a big gap right here, but that's okay. So go ahead and just go all the way around, adding 1 Delica, doing peyote stitch here, okay? So just skip the next bead should kind of sit a little lower down, then the next bead should sit up a little bit. See, these were our right angle weave units right here. So the bead that we just added in between should be sitting up a little bit higher. So we're coming out the slightly higher bead and going into the slightly higher bead, okay? And you're just adding that 1 15-0 in between those beads there. Okay, so just go all the way around. And at this point, you definitely want to be holding your cabochon in place, just to again get good tension around the cabochon. Okay, and when you get to the end, you're going to be going through your last 11 and then stepping up into the first 15-0. And at this point, if your cabochon is crooked, you're going to need to kind of slide it into the right position and just give all the edges a little pull. So mine is kind of held in there, but like not great yet. Okay, so we're going to do one more round with 15-0s going into each 15-0, but I'm just going to kind of massage this a little bit. Try and get it as even as I can. And you may need to check on the back that your top and your bottom are actually the top and the bottom on your cabochon, because if it's not in there straight, it's not gonna sit as nicely. So just check that the top and the bottom are in the right position. Okay, so continue on with another row of 15-0s. So just come out of your you're coming out from your 15 and you're just going to go straight into the next 15 over with. So we're doing the same thing we just did, but just with the 15-0s instead. Okay, and when you get back to where you're started right here, you're going to add your last 15-0. You're going to have to go through the 15-0 down below and then step up into the next 15-0 to get to the next layer. Okay. All right, so at this point, you're going to make a judgment if you think that your piece feels pretty secure. I'm just trying to even mine out a little here. I mean, mine is pretty in there. I don't think it's going to fall out. So I am not going to add another layer. What I'm going to do is just reinforce all the 15-0s by sewing through that again. If you need to add another layer at this point, you can. So just go all the way around, lower, upper, lower, up, you know, go through all of those. And at the same time, you can try to adjust any tension issues that you might have if you know it's not quite sitting perfect. Oh yeah, mine's gone crooked, so I'm going to try and rotate it around and see if I can get it to sit in the right direction. Okay, I'll go ahead and rotate and reinforce off screen, and I'll come back when I have finished doing that. Okay. Okay, now that I have reinforced that layer and straightened my back up, it looks a lot better. So it just takes a little bit of gentle massaging and just that reinforcing layer. If yours is looking really bad, that should kind of get it to look okay. So I'm kind of back where I started here, and I decided to come out from one of the lower 15-0s. I'm going to move down the next two beads, 11-0 beads, and into a unit of right angle weave. So I'm going to pass down, and I want to come out the bottom of the right angle weave unit. So just pick one and go down. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a little reinforcement around this area right here, just a kind of wall. Okay, so the two spaces that are above the areas with this, so this space and this space, this space and this space, we are going to add 1 15-0. So you're just going to pick up a 15-0 and you're going to go into the next bead. And if you're not in that space, you're going to pick up an 11-0. So here we're picking up 15-0, 15-0 at the ends here. The two spaces on each side at the end get a 15-0. So you're going to have a total of 4 15-0s at the ends here, and then you're going to have 4 11-0s, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the sides. So you're going to add an 11-0 on the 4 spaces on the sides of the piece, okay? So, and again, just try and keep that tail out of the way. I know it's been like annoying having it there the whole time, but like I said, we don't want to block any holes up with knots at this point, okay? So just go ahead, add those 4 11-0s. And then you're back to the end. You're going to add your 4 15-0s. So 1 here, 1 here. So you will be sewing into that end bead that's connected to those white beads, okay? And then 1 here. And 1 here, and then we need 4 11-0s on the side here. Okay, when you finish that, just you can again adjust the back and then just give it all a little bit of a pull, and that's just going to kind of finish off the edges so we don't have these like big bumps. So that is the end of our this section, okay? So now we're going to work on embellishing this so that you know, we have the rest of our necklace. Okay, so this is really the fun part. So if you have the Treasures of Time, you'll have the same beads as me, but if you don't, you can pick some other beads that you might want to use, okay? So I have grabbed out some WIBEduos. You could use super duos, really any 2-hole beads will work for this bit. And then I kind of needed some fringy things, so I've got the Magatamas that came, the bronze Magatamas that came in the set, as well as our Lentils here, and then I've also got our little 2mm by 3mm Rondelle beads here, and I've got my seed beads up here, okay? So where am I coming out? We need to get over to, if you see the unit that the short bit of our cross is connected to this unit right here, I need to get up to this bead here, okay, at the top of that unit. So I am coming out here. I'm just going to move up the unit that I'm in and reverse direction to get back over there, and I'm just going to go through the 11-0s until I exit from that bead in the middle that is connected to that unit, which is this bead right here. So it is one of the lower down beads. If you're looking at the front, okay, it is one of the lower down beads, but you will see if you look at the back here, there is the middle, and that is the bead. That is my unit of right angle weave, these 4, and I'm coming out from that middle bead, okay? All right, so this is the fun bit. You kind of get to make up how you want it, and I have decided that I am going to have 3 kind of units of drops on mine. You can do it differently if you want to. I'm going to have kind of like this with droppy bits down below, okay? All right, so I am going to pick up a couple of 11s. Actually, you know what I'm going to, yeah, no, I'm just going to stick with 11s. I'm going to pick up 5 11s and see if that is the length that I want it to be. And I'm going to pick up 2 more. So I'm doing 7 11 O's, all right, push it down. And then what I want, so the WIBEduos have pair of holes that run, you have to figure out which way they go. So on mine, they go this way, like you may have to turn it. So I'm gonna have to turn it this way. And actually I want this darker one to be in the middle, I think. This is a mix of finishes, so pick out ones that you want in your piece. So I've got like one of the bright golds and then this sort of slightly dimmer looking golds here, okay? So you can kind of pick and choose which ones you want. All right, so you want to go through these so that you're going down. And again, these do have a domed side, which is the top, and they have a flat side, which is the bottom. Okay, so here I am. I'm going down into my WIBEduo, and then I'm going to pick up a rondelle. I'm going to pick up a Magatama. I'm going to pick up a lentil. I'm going to pick up another Magatama and one more rondelle, and I'm going to go straight up into the other side of that WIBEduo. Okay, so I have this, and now I have to pick up the same number of beads here, which was 7. Okay, and then I'm going to go back into the exact same bead that I started coming out of, which is here. Okay, so that is my first little drop here, and I have to decide if I like that or not, and I think I do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. Okay, so next I'm going to put a drop kind of, actually since my thread's coming out on this side, I'm going to do the one that goes here next. So I'm just going to move forward through the 11s at the front until I'm coming out from the, so I'm skipping this unit here, and then I'm coming out from the top of the next unit here. I think that will be about the right place to put my next one. And this time I'm only going to pick up 5, okay, and try with 5 and see how it goes. I might need to change that. Okay, and then I'm going to actually only pick up 4 right here because we're kind of on the outside here, so it's a little bit shorter going up the inside. So I'm only going to pick up 4. I'm going to see how that looks. I picked up 5 on the outside, and I'm going to pick up 4 and go through the same bead again. Give it a pull, and yeah, that's about right, I would say. So that is how it is hanging at the moment, okay? So now we have to turn around and get over to the equivalent unit on this side, which would be this bead right here, okay? So just follow the right angle weave units. So I'm just going around to the back, and then I'm going through all those 11 O's on the back there, on that like edge that we did. And I see my unit that I'm going into right here, so I'm working into the inner bit so I can get through. So it's not that unit, it's this unit. Okay, so I'm coming out on the outside again, so I'm gonna do 5 again, like I did on the other side. Again, pick up your WIBEduos. And then pick up your rondelle, your Magatama, your lentil, Magatama, and rondelle. Go up into the other side of that WIBEduos. And then again on the inside here, I'm only going to pick up 4 of my 11-ohs. And I'm going into the exact same bead that I was coming out from to begin with. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I am kind of designing as I go here, but I have decided, I pulled out our gorgeous Firepolish beads in this really cool colorway, which I just absolutely love. And I feel like they pick up the glow from, which maybe you can't see, but I can, the glow from the cabochon here, okay? So I'm going to use those to attach another WIBEduos and make a loop, and then I think I'm going to hang from this chain, so I'll be able to put a jump ring around that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of my Firepolish beads with the rondelles, and I'm going to make some little drops using the Headpins that we got in our set, just to then hang on the chain every so often, so we will have a few little drops hanging, maybe like 3 or 4 on each side, with the little sparkle that the rondelle gives, okay? And that will be the necklace. So I have to work out how to get up to where I need to be to join on. And at this point, I would say you can weave in your end. You don't really need to tie a knot, just kind of weave it in somewhere, okay? And then I'll come back and show you where I am coming out from. Okay, so the bead I need to get over to, if you look again on your back, find that middle bead, and here is that middle right angle weave unit. I need to get to the front of the next unit and the front of this unit. So there's my middle unit, so I want to get over to this bead right here. So I am just kind of working my way there by either running along the back or running whatever way I need to get over there. So let's see, I need to get to this one, so I'm going to go through this front one, and then here I am. All right, so I'm coming out. There's that unit. There's my second unit. I'm just checking that I'm coming out from the right one. I am going to pick up a Firepolish bead. I'm going to go up through my WIBEduos, and if I'm not saying this correctly, then somebody please tell me how you are supposed to say it. Some of the names of these beads, I don't know how to say it, okay? And then I'm going to pick up 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of my 11 O's. So I just want to make an arch going over that I can slip a jump ring underneath, okay? And then I'm going to go down the other side of my WIBEduos. I'm not sure if it's Wibe or Wibe, I don't know, but anyway. I don't know why they didn't just call it like a star duo or something. Anyway, now I have to find the bead on this side. So here's the unit and there's my next unit. And I was coming out the inside here, so I'm going to enter in to that bead from the inside to the outside. Actually, it doesn't matter because we're going to reverse direction to reinforce. So I'm still coming out that bead. I'm just coming out of the outside of it now. I'm going to go back up through all of those beads that we just added. And when I get back to the beginning, I'm going to enter into the bead that I started from the outside to the inside because I came out from the inside originally. Okay. So I now have this, and this will, that'll have a jump ring going through it, so you won't really notice it so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pass over again, reinforce that entire thing, and then I'm going to tie in my thread. Okay, so I tied in my thread, so my pendant is now complete, and I really like the way it has turned out. Now, because I am planning to put drops on the chain, I need to make sure that my pendant doesn't slide up and down the chain. So when I am attaching it on, I am going to actually put a jump ring through one of the links on the chain, and that will keep it in place so it doesn't slide up and down the chain. And I'm probably going to use this really, really pretty toggle clasp at the back, just because I think it is really pretty. Hopefully you guys know how to make drops from head pins. You just need some round nose pliers and some snippers, and you can do that. If you don't, there are tons of tutorials on how to make drops on head pins, so I'm not going to make this video longer by showing you how to do that. Okay, I will come back when I have finished my necklace just to show you the finished deal, okay? Okay, I am back and I have finished my necklace. So what I ended up doing is I took these gorgeous filigrees out of our pack, and like I said I would do, I made some wrapped loops with my little rondelles and the Firepolish beads, and then here I just used a jump ring, attached it on, and this will help the chain to stop twisting around. One of the problems that you have when you have little drops that are attached onto specific links on a chain is that they can flip around a lot. So I wanted something heavier that's gonna kind of keep the necklace the right way. So if you lay your chain so that you can see the way that it is, so there's the flat one that my jump ring is connected onto. I left 3 flat ones in between, and then I joined onto the next flat one. I left 3 in between. I joined my drop onto the flat one, and then I left 3 more, and then I joined another head pin on. Okay, and I did use the gorgeous clasp that we got, which is a toggle clasp. And the nice thing about a toggle clasp is with a chain, obviously chains can get twisted around. You can untwist it by, you know, rotating the toggle clasp around so that the whole thing becomes untwisted. So that is one of the benefits of a toggle clasp. Magnetic clasps are also really good for that. Clasps that, like lobster claws, you know, they only clip one way, so you can't really you know, if you get it twisted, you're never going to be able to untwist it without undoing the clasp. So that is one reason I do like to use a toggle. It'll kind of keep itself untwisted as you go. So anyway, I think this turned out very nice. and hopefully you also like it, and hopefully you make something like this, or if you don't have the cabochon, you can look and see if there's other ones. I will put links to everything I'm using down below, but they may have other ones in other colors. I'm not sure, I haven't looked yet. So anyway, okay guys, I will see you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye.